I don't care about my own birthday. Why should I care about yours?
Hell, we are Bema Nsu. I
Yeah,
don't know,
Bema
Bema
Nsu.
na Usu Bebre Sano. Hello, everyone. My name is Wogs. Once again, welcome to Chow Wogs. Today, we're going to be talking about masculinity. But before I get into that, I have here with me my one and only G, Salom Finchi, right? Yo,
Yeah,
Charlie.
Salom Finchy.
Yeah, yeah. And today we're just gonna have like a small discussion on masculinity. Yeah, Salom, Charlie. What is masculinity to you? What is masculinity?
Um, so generally speaking, masculinity are basically a set of characteristics that um, are attributed to manhood.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, when we say what it means to be a man.
To be a man, yeah.
But then personally, to me, I view it more like expected dispositions. So generally, in society, if you're a man, you are
Salom,
expected.
before you go, what are dispositions? You know, say don't be every bro like we know disposition might be a simple way to like what is a disposition before you go, please?
Okay, so when we say dispositions,
Yeah.
we are talking about proclivities.
Proclivity is another
Right. Okay. So yeah. So what we are talking about are
yeah.
tendencies. So like all things being equal,
Uh-huh.
this person is likely to take this action when put in this kind of situation.
Okay,
So
okay.
if you throw water at a cat,
Mm-hmm.
generally we think cats generally don't like it when they are wet. So
Yeah,
when they throw water at a cat, it's
yeah,
probably going to
yeah,
run
yeah,
around,
yeah,
shake
yeah,
itself.
yeah. I see
There's a
videos of that
tendency
on
that it's
social
going to
media.
do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, even
yeah,
though not every cat might do that, but
yeah.
generally that's the tendency that you get in that given situation. So that's what we're talking about: proclivities, dispositions, tendencies. So I say expected dispositions because there is an expectation element
Yeah.
when it comes
In our
to
society,
in
right?
society. Yeah,
Yes, yes,
there's an
as a man.
expectation element. So masculinity is basically what um, a man is expected to be
To be or behave.
or behave like.
Yes,
And
yes,
so yeah, that's what
yes,
I would say
yes. And
masculinity
I
is.
think though to like add to what you have said, those attributes would be being courageous or brave, right?
Yeah, being courageous, being brave,
Assertive,
assertive,
decisive,
strong,
strong.
and then there are also other aspects to that are also expected. Um, Having a certain physical appearance.
Yeah, even the way you sound like
Your voice,
your
yes, you
voice,
you have to have a deep
it
voice.
has to be coarse,
Yes.
rough.
So yeah, so these are some of the things that
Yeah,
are expected, you know.
Finchi. You know, there've been situations where like I found myself in when I was in probably secondary school. The way I talk, people say the way I talk is a little bit soft.
Yeah.
I've had instances where I meet a group of guys, we're all having a discussion. Then someone just randomly said, but you, the way you look, how like your physique doesn't match your voice.
You don't sound how
I
you
don't
look.
sound how I look. Like
But
I'm like what? Someone told me that I sound like a koala bear, but I look like a polar bear. What the flick? Like I was like, what do you mean by that? But that statement was very impressive because it really explained what he wanted to say, and I think it is true. But I can't really do anything about it.
yeah, so there is this there's one guy. I knew him years back. We used to play basketball.
Hmm.
And he's one of the most muscular guys that I've ever played basketball with.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? I don't want to say his name, but yeah, we used to play basketball at KNUST a lot.
Okay.
And whenever he speaks, people who hear him speak for the first time,
Yeah.
their reaction is always very funny because you see this, we say abodie, you know, macho man. And then
Yeah.
he's not soft spoken. His voice is actually tiny.
Very tiny.
And a lot of people who hear him speak for the first time actually think he's doing it on purpose.
On purpose.
like
Because
to be
like they
funny or
just can't
something.
like find some like,
Yeah,
are you
so
being
you hear
serious
him
right
speak
now?
and says, "Hey, Kwame, that
Ah,
is I."
you're
Those kind.
serious.
That's how he sounds.
You're serious.
Yeah, and it's the funniest thing ever. It's the funniest thing ever. And so yeah, and the reason why people are shocked
Mm-hmm.
is because of the
The
expectation.
expectations.
Because for normal men, your voice is expected to be deep.
Yeah.
Now, but dear crowd, oh dear, then it has to be,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
yeah. So masculinity and basically the expectations that come with it.
That come with it.
Um,
And also, concerning masculinity, what are some of the pressures that men face today? Because you said there are certain, used proclivities, used dispositions. There's like, maybe I'll use attributes. There are
yeah,
certain attributes that are expected of men to portray.
right.
Okay. So let's say for someone like me, just like I said, I'm tall, I'm dark, I have a bit of a, strong build, okay,
Yeah,
or muscular build. When people see me and I start talking, they'll be like, why do you talk so calmly? Why do you talk so softly? Like, speak roughly. Someone told me that I should start, deepening my voice because he thinks that that is how society will see me. That's how society sees me. Like if someone is to see me, they think that probably I'm intimidating. So if I'm to start talking, okay, it sort of crumbles that whole mental picture that that person already made up in his or her head. And I know there are people that intentionally try to deepen their voice because they think it is expected of them by society to do so because of how they look. Do you get my drift?
yes, yes. One thing that personally I've learned growing
Yeah.
myself growing up, I had my fair share of these kind of experiences because I was always the youngest in my class
Yeah.
because I skipped classes,
Yeah.
and then I was also very smallish
Oh, really?
for my age. Yeah, so a lot of when they see me that they don't believe when I tell them that but I was like all through primary school, middle school,
Yeah. Yeah.
GHS, I was very smallish.
Mm-hmm.
So even girls could beat me in class. So it's one of those things, obabo, that kind of thing. But I was very loud.
Oh,
I was very
okay.
loud. I learned to use my words
Your
because I
words.
wasn't physically very capable. And
Yes.
because of
Yes.
that, most of the guys would shun you
Yeah.
because I couldn't run as fast. So I never
Yes.
played soccer.
Yes.
And by calling it soccer, I don't like that sport very much. Just by calling it soccer, I call
By
it
color
soccer
soccer because
because
we call it football. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't like. So I just
Oh,
say
you don't
that
like football?
to spite the game.
Oh, okay.
No, now I like it when I watch. I'm like, it's a good
It's
game.
a good game.
I
Yeah.
realize that my hatred for it is just coming from that experience that I had. They
Yeah.
won't let me play with them because
Yeah.
my feet were too small. I couldn't kick the ball with the side of my
Yeah.
foot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I couldn't play with them. So
Okay.
all the time they would be like, "Hey, only man who could grow, Bema with the ball, that kind of thing
Yeah.
growing up." And so I've had my fair share of that. But
But did that pressure you into behaving a certain type of way, knowing that that is not genuinely you?
oh yes, yes. So in SHS, it would manifest in little things
Uh-huh.
like um trying not to express emotions,
Oh, okay.
just so that
Yeah.
I'd feel like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a man. You understand?
Yeah.
It got so bad. It got to a point where like and there were other factors to it. So for
Mm-hmm.
instance, things like birthday. Remember who celebrated birthday? Charlie, you hard guy who you
Ah,
want to
really?
celebrate birthday. Yeah, that's how bad it got with me personally. So it got so bad to the point where I used to forget my own birthday.
You're serious?
Yeah, so I noticed I was forgetting my birthday because it happened a number of times
Yeah.
where I remembered it was my birthday because I got a notification on Facebook
That is your birthday.
that somebody wished me or that it's my birthday
Yeah.
or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's how bad it got. So if you are my friend and it's your birthday, I'm not wishing you a happy birthday. Like what are you? Are you a sissy?
Because you feel like it made you
Because
look
myself,
tough.
yeah, that was like
Masculine.
toughness. You have to be tough and that kind of thing. But gradually, and I'd say this was largely because of a certain group of friends that I
That you
made
had, yeah.
and I because these were men,
Uh-huh.
and they were people that I looked up to because I like,
Okay.
hey, these are real men. They
Yeah.
are
They're
responsible. They
responsible.
do their job.
Yeah.
They are people of integrity,
Yeah.
and they will take time off to celebrate, especially my own birthday. They will take me out, do all this stuff, and then so I was like, okay, maybe it's not maybe it's not so bad to allow yourself
Yeah.
to experience those kind of things, and
Feel
so
something.
yeah, so
It's not the time that you have to like bottle things up.
yeah,
Let me touch on the part where you're like, you are influenced by society or pressurized by society not to like be too emotionally expressive. It is a problem. It is a problem with guys.
yeah,
For me, when I'm down, okay, when I have a problem, I know that not a lot of people can help you, okay, especially when it comes to finances.
yeah,
But one thing is that is very, very therapeutic for me is all I need is a listening ear. If
yeah,
you're my friend and I'm complaining or venting to you, I'm not expecting to hear a response like, why are you complaining? As a man, there've been multiple times where even this week I was talking to a friend of mine and I was talking about how much, before even we started this whole thing, when we were coming, I thought I've been stressed out this
yeah.
like today and even this week. You understand? I have a friend and I was just sort of telling me how much I've been stressed out and what is going. It's like yo, whoa, yeah, man. You have to like sort of like bottle it in and just push through. Look, a person can take so much. You're a human being. One day you snap. And to me, I've realized that if I vent to a friend and a friend is going to hear me out and just be like, yo, it's very, very therapeutic. It works for me. It's therapeutic for me. But guys feel like, oh, we have been brought up or we've been groomed in such a way that we are not supposed to do that. Even when you're a kid, cry. I mean, even when a kid is you're a guy, like let's say you're a male child and you're crying plenty or you're crying a lot of times, probably someone will be like, "Hey, we are Bema, Bema Nsu. I
Yeah,
don't know
very
Bema na
true.
Usu bebre sano. Hey, Nsu sa we are Bema. Like and I feel like it's not good. It should be
Well,
balanced.
yeah. So that was what I was actually going to say is
Yeah.
that in as much as maybe people might not like to hear it that way, but it's coming from a good place, generally speaking,
Mm-hmm.
because of the position that men are expected to occupy in
Yeah.
society.
Yes.
You have to be the one carrying the burden.
But why? I think I
Yeah.
think we need to crumble that thing and build it
Um,
up again.
yeah. So the interesting thing with traditions is that sometimes you wouldn't know why they exist until you decide to do away with them, and then
Yeah.
you realize that someone would say you let a lot of chaos ensue.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really the type to be like, oh, because there's now, I think now there's a lot of I don't know the word to use, but people are using things like mental health
Yeah.
as an excuse to be lazy, um, do bad stuff,
Really.
or treat people poorly.
Really.
Oh yes, people use that as an excuse all the time nowadays because now we are trying to fight against the stereotype where people are not allowed to, like for instance, like to vent out or to have a space to talk
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
things like that. But now it has gotten to a point where people are beginning to abuse it. So then you realize that okay, maybe this is why they were putting that barrier in the first place. But at the same time, what we actually need is not one or the other, but rather having a
A
balance.
balance.
So, for instance, as a man, you feel more comfortable venting to your friends, other men in your
Yes.
life, which I think should it's actually better that way
Yes.
because if let's say you are married,
Yeah.
you have a wife,
Yeah.
your wife is going to vent on you.
Yes.
You want to help her carry that
Mm-hmm.
burden.
Mm-hmm.
Now, who do you vent to?
Who do you and for some strange reason, this is from my own personal experience. Ladies will come out and say that you don't open up to me. You're not vulnerable towards me. But trust me, the moment you take that step, maybe on the first step, they'll respond and meet you halfway. Second, third, second to probably they'll respond, but on the third, I'm like, oh, you're being too. Why you being so sensitive?
Are you a woman?
Sometimes I'll be like, you're being a. Sorry for the word, but you're being a bitch,
Yeah, yeah, and
and
it's
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 sad.
yeah. So
So what you're saying, I
mhm,
think, is very, very true. That thing should be very much sort of like pushed or promoted in our society. That guys to guys should learn how to open up to each other,
to each other, yes,
because guys, I feel like guys, in a way, if a guy is saying that he's trying to, be, what's the word, empathetic,
mhm,
or meet you halfway when you're being vulnerable, a guy that knows how to take that energy and give it back to you on that same wavelength, bro, it's just beautiful. I've been there before. It's
yeah.
beautiful, man.
Um, I think generally to men generally have different ways
Expressing
of dealing with these things,
these things, yeah.
and one thing that is really important for men is to have plant yourself in a good community.
Mm-hmm.
If you are in a
Mm-hmm.
good community of fellow men
Mm-hmm.
who are matured, who have a very good understanding of these
Yeah.
things, you put yourself in a safe. So, like I was saying, my own journey, it came through where I found myself.
Yeah.
I realized that okay, this is how it is.
Yeah.
For instance, growing up, grew up with a typical Ghanaian dad. He loves you, but he will never say,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Never got a hug. I mean, you, it, I can't even imagine
Bro,
what a hug from my dad will
like,
look
even
like.
putting that one aside, I mean, I never even saw my parents showing any sort of affection
And
towards each other.
towards each other. And so, um, based on the community that I found myself
Yeah.
in, I got myself now. I have, a father figure in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and he fills that role. So it was like a gap. So
Mm-hmm.
my dad, solid, took care of us, responsible, make sure we're okay and all that. But that aspect, that emotional aspect, was not there.
Was not there.
And so he came in and he has done a great job. And he's one of the reasons why I feel more comfortable in my
Yeah.
own skin,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he would tell you, I love you. He would hug you
Oh, that's nice.
and things like that. And the first time he said, I love you, I felt so uncomfortable. And it's that is one of the dangers of this problem,
Yeah.
because what happens is that there are a lot of people who always complain about the fact that they've never been loved in their whole life. They use that as an excuse of why they are the way they are. But immediately they encounter somebody who wants to love them,
They repel.
they repel. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you find them saying one thing, but when you try to,
I
you
know.
realize that they repel. And so
I know
it's
what you mean,
very
bro.
difficult to help people
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
If the person himself does not realize that and deal with it, you cannot help
You
them.
know, the sad thing is that they don't even realize, oh, but they don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah. And I've always been very aware,
Yeah.
sort of. I describe it as, it's like I have another me that is beyond myself,
Mm-hmm.
that gets to look at things from the outside.
Mm-hmm. I think we all do.
No, we all don't. That is also one very big lesson that I've
Yeah.
had to learn.
Yeah, you've had to
Is
learn.
that very few people, and this is not to like say I'm like some genius or
Yeah.
smart person or
Yeah.
anything, but the kind of things that I think about
Mm-hmm.
and the way that I think about things,
Mm-hmm.
it's not the norm.
No, okay.
It's not the norm.
Yeah.
So, like I'm saying, like I was able to realize that, wait, why did I feel so awkward? Why did it feel so weird when he hugged me?
Yeah.
Is this not what I've been telling myself I've always wanted? Is it not what I've always been
Yeah.
mad at my dad about?
Yeah.
That growing up,
It's,
you never said you love, you never said you were proud of me.
I think it's normal because they are not. It's new.
Yes, but then
So
not everybody is able to look at it from the outside
Yeah.
to themselves and see
Yeah.
that, hey, wait, there's something
Yeah.
going on here, and be
Yeah.
able to. And that is why therapy is important for people, because the therapy is supposed to help you
Yeah.
do that. But
Yeah.
not everybody can self therapy,
It's
you know,
true.
sort of.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Well, for me, I didn't really have that problem. I feel like naturally I'm very much, in tune with my emotions. I'm not scared to emotionally express myself. Those who know me know that I like, I have this thing with me. Like, so I know there've been instances where I've had people tell me that then you're like you're in touch with your feminine side.
Yeah, I always it became an inside joke for me and one of my closest friends. Sometimes I would intentionally do something sus,
Yeah.
and I tell you, hey, get in touch with your
Bro,
feminine side,
me,
and we all have it.
I don't mind seeing a guy. There've been instances where I see a guy, I'm like, yo, Charlie, you have some very nice eyes, or you have very beautiful eyebrows. They look at me like a very strange
The
expression,
see the
but
discomfort
the
that
discomfort is there.
comes.
But he, as they are around me, and I'm continually exposing them to that, they warm up to it
Oh yeah,
positively,
yeah,
not in a strange way. Like they warm up to it positively. Like there was a time where someone was like, "Oh wow, no one has actually said that to me." Or
yeah.
yeah, I know. Like, and I was happy because this is what it's supposed to be like. Guys don't be getting compliments.
Oh no,
Girls are always getting
yeah.
compliments. As for guys, we are always meant to be like, yo, we are supposed to be like a
And
tree.
we give backdoor compliment. Hey, Charlie, who is say they are senior man, pal. Say they level there, you do, you know that kind of.
I get that be the only
Hey,
compliment
Charlie,
they
what you
give.
there, you know,
Charlie
kind of a
is
backdoor kind of way of going about
yeah.
it.
I feel like as guys we should learn how to open up to one another and be respectful of a person's vulnerability. Don't like in that situation. Don't hear out the person, and then some days later you make fun of that person's vulnerability towards you the other time. I mean, I've been situations where I'll be vulnerable to my guys. Those guys, I'm not even friends with them anymore. I'll be vulnerable to them. I'll open up to them. And Charlie, a week later, they'll be like, "Oh, Charlie, last time I remember Works was just being all emotional. Like, my heart." They'll just be laughing at me. I'll laugh for them, but deep down, I wish they wouldn't do that. Because, I was being vulnerable. And me, I wouldn't mind. But if it was anyone else, it would discourage him from doing that with any other person.
Yeah, it's so I said earlier on that
Yeah.
men have had ways of kind of doing that. It's one of the ways, which is jest. So if maybe you get broken heart. This is a typical one.
Yeah.
So some girl leaves you or you
Yeah.
get bounced by some
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah.
Usually in the instance, really good friends
Mm-hmm.
in that moment
Yeah.
would be there for you. They could be, oh Charlie girl, show now. They'll take you out, things like that. But once they
Oh, Charlie.
realize that okay, now you are doing better. Okay, so now the next thing is now you are getting roasted. But I
Yeah.
also think that getting roasted is also part of how guys deal with the situation.
Yes.
Of
Yes.
course, but then we can all tell when you are laughing at me
Yes. Or you're going
or
overboard.
you are laughing with me.
Yes.
If you are
Yes.
doing it to help me or you are just, trying to find something to do that. But one thing that if there's one thing that I want anybody to take from this conversation
Mm-hmm.
is that anyone, for instance, most people who would be like, Beme soon or those kind of things,
Mm-hmm.
don't let it bother you
Mm-hmm.
because it is usually not an expression of you or who you are.
Yeah.
It's rather a reflection of who they are and
Yes.
how uncomfortable
Yes.
they are with themselves.
Yes.
And so it's more like what they call projecting. So the reason why and people's reaction to those kind of things. And I remember so now emotion is other is because they themselves they are not in touch with that side of
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
It's a part of themselves that they've they've stashed away.
They've stashed away. Yes.
And so when they do that, I realize that oh, this person is just lashing out
Mm-hmm.
because they hate themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
hate themselves
Yeah.
because I knew I was doing it. Because when my friend, I had this friend, Prince, he had two English names, Prince Joseph. Prince
Oh,
Joseph
okay.
Kalai, he was one guy who was very feminine,
Mm-hmm.
in touch with his feminine
Feminine
side.
side, yeah.
But at the same time, too, he and it was interesting. He liked karate a lot and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then he was also very emotional
Mm-hmm.
and he expressed a lot. So you can imagine me and him. We were really close,
Mm-hmm.
but we would always have these fights and arguments and things like that because
Mm-hmm.
for instance, he I think one time he got mad that I didn't wish him a happy birthday
Happy
on his
birthday.
on his birthday. I was
Oh,
like,
damn. That guy is very much in touch with his
I
feminine
was
side.
like, bro, what are you talking
He's
about?
very much in touch with his feminine
But the
side.
point was that I didn't understand why you should be mad because me, my own birthday, I forgot. So what's the big deal here? Why should I
Yeah.
wish you a happy birthday?
Yeah.
Like I don't care about my own birthday. Why should I care about yours? So that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about.
Yes.
When people react that way, like maybe you are celebrating something and they're like them as soon as it's because they themselves
They
they
themselves.
are
Yeah.
it's not been done for them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do it for
Yeah.
themselves. It's lacking in their lives,
Yes.
and so it's just a reaction to make themselves feel good
Yeah.
that there's nothing wrong with them because when you start doing that instinctively they know that this is what they would want.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're doing it, exposes that
Yeah.
lack in them.
Yeah.
And that is the reaction that you are seeing.
Most
And
definitely.
so don't let it get you. Don't think there's something wrong with you. Just know that there's
Yeah.
just that lack in their own.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I'll add is that, um, you know, I think for me, when growing up, yes, there were instances where probably I tried to meet up to societal expectations of what a man should be like. I think in a way it is good, but just like Finchy said, sorry, Finchy,
I
just
think you are
like
combining Salon Finchi. I think maybe
yeah,
I should go with that. Sinchi
yes,
or Senchi.
just like Finchy said, it has to be balanced. Have your own define what masculinity is to you, okay, and in a way blend it with societal expectations because you live in society with people. So blend it and let it be distinct to you as a person, as an individual. Don't blindly sort of like, how do I explain it? Bend or mold yourself to what society is saying that a masculine man should be like. But define what masculinity is to you and live by it with a social blend to it. That is, I feel like that's the most perfect or healthy masculine sort of masculinity that you can ever be. I don't know if that's a book right in English,
I
because
think
I think it's very very necessary. Because for me, I one thing I've realized is that when it comes to women, okay, let's say if you are romantically entangled with a woman, it is very necessary that you bend towards societal expectations of what a masculine man should be like. Because if you don't, I feel like you'll be stressed out a little bit, or you'll be stressed out most of the times. But if you bend to the societal expectations of what a masculine man should be, it helps you be grounded in the relationship.
yeah,
I think for me,
and
that's one thing. From my
uh,
experience, that's one thing I've realized because it has worked for me.
yeah, and I think that is just because we all instinctively
Mm-hmm.
know that is the balance.
Yes,
There is a feminine and there is a
it's a
masculine,
masculine.
and it's supposed to balance
Yes.
each other out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in view of the thing with balance, I agree with what you're saying about balance, only with a caveat. That is,
Finchy. Charlie, the big caveat, what's the meaning of the caveat?
I
Most
don't
of
think
most of our audience not got no
I
caveat.
know
Oh.
I don't think I can give textbook definition of caveat, but usually when we say that it means it's basically like saying I agree, but there is
You have some reservations, so
some
you're, oh
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And the
yeah, I
thing
get
is,
it.
I think subjective standard
Mm-hmm.
or expectation of what masculinity is
Mm-hmm.
or should be.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is how that is to be expressed.
Expressed. Okay.
And that is where we have that clash with society.
Mm-hmm.
There is not only one way to be brave.
Okay. Obviously, diversity.
For instance, let me use it as an example. One time, there was this guy who sells shoes,
Mm-hmm.
and I came to his shop. He wasn't around. He
Mm-hmm.
had left the shop with a guy, and it was Jordans, and it was like more than 5 years ago, and so I think around that time,
Let's go. After your example, let's conclude.
yeah, sure. So this guy was selling Jordans. I saw Jordan 11s. They are like my favorite Jordans. So I went to ask the guy the price, and I think the guy said 40 cities or something like that.
Okay.
And I was like, at the time, Jordans were like 100, 120, 150,
Bro,
even 200.
Bro, even in this, still, like,
Yeah, and this guy was
again,
like 40 cities because basically he told him that most of the shoes are around that price or
he
something.
was giving it to you for free.
And I was like, this guy is giving the Jordans away.
Yeah.
So I didn't even have the 40 CDs on me. I had like 20 CDs or something. I was like, look, take the 20 CDs. Give me one of the pair. Just like one of it. So I'll go and bring the rest of the money and take the other pair and pair it up and go. So what I did was I came to campus and I told all my friends, yo, there's this shop. They are dashing away Jordans. So I was there and then I got a call.
Yeah.
The guy had come back and he was pissed. He was mad that the guy had given the Jordan away for that price.
Yeah.
Now, his reaction was he was mad and then he was speaking very rudely to me.
Why? But let's.
He was speaking very rudely to me, insulting me. Like, now, what to say Jordan for this? Now, I was like, no, I came to the shop. The person there said this was the price. First of all, I didn't even know that he wasn't the owner of the shop or anything.
Or the business,
I just came there. He was the one who was there, and that's the conversation that went down. And it was like massa fan pop one bra for Jimmy Fio, that kind of thing. And so normally now I'm a man. I could have been like, yo, Charlie,
you should have met you boot for boot.
Meet you boot for boot. Yeah, that's what means that you're a man.
You're a man. Be assertive.
He said everything. I was like, cool. So I came back. I told him what was the actual price that he was saying. He was like, it's 100 CDs. What? I think it was like 120 or 150 or something. And then I had gone for money. I was like, so my friend who wanted the shoes as well, I called him and said, this is what has happened. The guy wasn't really the owner of the shop. This is that. He was like, how much? He was like 150. I was like, that's still cheap. That was still lower than. So my friend was like, no problem. He still sent the money. So I came to the guy. I was like, I came to the shop, and I think when I got there, he had calmed down a bit. And then was like, are you bringing that? I was like, oh, no, I'm not bringing the shoes. I'll still buy it. He said it's 150. Yes, 150. Here's another 150. Give me another pair for my friend. And then the guy was a bit shocked. Because if anything, I should have just brought this to and went away. That's what I expected because of how he had acted. But I chose rather
to be the bigger man, and in a way to flex.
I wasn't doing it particularly to flex.
I get it, but
what happened was because of how I acted, I actually gained a friend.
Oh, okay.
That guy became my friend. There was a point where he has dashed me more than 6 pairs of shoes. For a span of some years, I was buying shoes at the shop all the time. So sometimes I'll come and buy 2. I'm like, I must away the fat chami, and we just add it to it.
Mado.
I made a friend. I exercised restraint.
Yeah.
Which is much more harder than meeting him boot for boot.
I think that's a very deep masculine trait, but
yes,
that is overlooked. Yeah.
Restraint is a greater trait than reacting out of anger.
Yes.
That's actually weakness.
Yes.
So that is where I think
restraint. Yes, that's the discipline.
Yes, discipline.
Yes, because I even feel like even in situations where a woman is provoking you, and you're to restrain yourself, and I was like, that's very respectable, so honorable. They say that's a man right there. I mean, I've seen situations, videos on social media where a woman is provoking, a man to actually sort of like hit her or do something.
Yeah.
violently to her, and the guy doesn't do it, the man doesn't do it. You see in the comment section, yo, kudos to you, respect to you. That's a man,
You know
man.
what?
Yeah, that's very masculine.
So people who are not comfortable in their masculinity, "Hwɛ me, one more oba de ne
Oh
oba
yeah,
po wasum che masa me aka masa unya
but
bema unya bema."
you know,
But they don't
some
know.
people feel like, and to me, I feel like that is toxic masculinity. And for me, I think there's something called chauvinism. You know what chauvinism
Yeah,
is, right?
chauvinism.
So chauvinism, hey, Charlie, how will I even explain it?
Oh, let's talk about the way men are expected to treat women.
Women, or
You
chauvinism in
know,
a ways, somehow in the traditional sense, men are supposed to lead women in a sense, or
yeah. So basically, if I take a girl out on a date, I open
yeah,
the door for
yeah,
her, pull her chair.
yes.
You are being chauvinistic.
So
Or
I think there's more to it, but I mean, I know what chauvinism is. There's another word for chauvinism, misogynist.
okay,
But
so no, a misogynist is like considered negative.
negative
So chauvinism is basically how to treat
to
a
treat you.
lady.
Okay, so I think the right word is misogynist. So I feel like
A misogynist is like looking down on
looking down.
women
So
type of thing.
you know, people feel like there are some men that feel like if a woman is trying to make a man look weak, okay, or provoking, and they are in a public space, he's not going to allow that to happen. So if the woman is to hit him, he's gonna retaliate. Because to him, he feel like, yo, if I do that, I'm gonna show some weakness. And as a man, I'm not supposed to do that. But to me, I think that's just toxic masculinity.
Yeah, so like I said, there are certain traits that are higher traits, like
Yeah,
discipline,
discipline.
restraint,
Yeah,
and things like that,
yeah,
instead of being reactionary.
yeah. Discipline is a very difficult
If
thing,
you
but
are
that's like,
strong, apply the strength in your restraint
yeah,
because it's a
it
lot
will bring you a
harder.
lot of peace and a very fulfilling life,
Yeah,
bro.
it's a lot harder.
I'm telling you. But yo, Finchy, Charlie, this conversation, we for allow ourselves, or we can
Oh yeah.
delve in and delve in and delve in.
Yeah.
But bro, yeah, this is our own take on what masculinity is. We have to cut it short, you know. But what I can say is that just just be comfortable in your skin. We all have our own personalities. We are all different. We're all distinct. We cannot all be the same. Yes, there are societal expectations of what a masculine man should be like or what masculinity is. You understand? But define what masculinity is to you and let it bend to your definition. Don't wholly or blindly bend to societal definition of masculinity. To me, I feel like it's not healthy. That's one thing I can say. What about you, Charlie?
Yeah, basically, so like I said, we should understand what it means to be a man and understand that it is rather a set of values,
Yeah,
not necessarily certain actions that you need to perform, but a set of values
yeah,
that should inform your actions
good.
rather than thinking that maybe lifting weights and looking buff is what makes you a man.
But I
No.
mean,
But a
yeah,
man, you are supposed to take care of your body, you are
mm-hmm.
supposed to eat well, you are supposed
Yeah,
to be strong
certain
physically
discipline.
and mentally. Not
The,
just strong physically.
the mentally is
Mental
important.
strength
Oh,
is more important than physical strength, especially in our time now.
life is a bully, bro. You have to be mentally
Now, in our
strong.
time, mental strength is a lot more important
Yes,
than
yes, yes,
you see
yes.
those videos, Vows Day, our body any breaking, our body heart, our body is
But yeah,
our body is
Charlie.
expected to
Yeah.
be strong. So let's develop that mental toughness. And mental toughness does not mean not expressing emotions or not being in touch with your emotions, but rather understanding that mental toughness is about being able to deal with the
Yeah,
emotions properly.
properly. Yeah.
Dealing with the emotions properly. One thing that I've been able to cultivate is no matter how angry I am,
Mm-hmm.
I don't insult
You don't
people.
insult. Okay, that's cool.
So yeah, masculinity.
Yeah, so yeah, that's basically masculinity to us. Yeah. So once again, this is Chow Walks, and we shall see you on the next episode. Yeah. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah.